Hi there, this is Eshu. I'm the abbot here at Zenwest Buddhist Society. This Living Zen-podcast is just one of the many resources we've created at Zenwest to make Zen practice and training more available and accessible to people all over the world. Instructional videos, printable resources, and much, much more are also available on our website at www.zenwest.ca. If you're a regular listener, I'd love to hear from you. So please drop me an email at office@zenwest.ca and let me know who you are, how you got started, and what brought you to Zen. Everything we make available in person and online at Zenwest is only possible because of the support of our members and associates, people like you. If the efforts of our community are making a difference in your life, I'd like to invite you to show your support and take part in making it happen by becoming an associate or member of the Zenwest Sangha. You can do this by clicking the Join Us tab on our website at www.zenwest.ca. Thank you for your support, and thanks for listening.
One of the training tools, I guess we could call them, one of the fundamental training tools that we use in the Rinzai school of Zen. It's used in most schools of Zen. The Rinzai school places a special emphasis on the use of what we call koans. Koan, the word koan means public case. And the way that I always like to explain it is that this is actually a legal term. And in a lot of ways, it's analogous to what we call precedent, legal precedent in our own legal system. Essentially, this as a training tool is it's a story. They're stories. And they're stories about an interaction or a meeting of two people in which an aspect or a principle of the Dharma activity is clarified and demonstrated. Much like a legal precedent, sometimes it isn't spelled out and it's not entirely black and white. In fact, often it's not. Somewhere between the players, somewhere between all of the action, the principle is laid bare. But it's not so easy to grasp sometimes. Now there's formal koans. These we study, practice with, and train. The format for this is to listen or read the koan, to investigate the case with our open hearts through our seated practice, but also to carry that case, to carry that story with us throughout the day, throughout all of our activities, until the kernel, until the principle that's being demonstrated becomes clear. When we meet with our teacher in interview, sanzen, we're not asked to explain the koan. We're not asked to describe what's going on. The request is to demonstrate. Embody the principle in a way that's fresh, vital, and genuinely yours. Zen practice isn't so interested in you having a head full of fantastic information about a tradition. It's not interested in you knowing how to do all of the aspects of form. This practice is aimed at helping us to deeply live, to embody the vastness of our own capacity. Tonight I've made a few corrections about form. In practice, form is a kind of koan of its own. Each of us, as we go through our lives, strive for comfort. Each of us seeks pleasure and fulfillment through the attainment of what it is that we think we lack or what we want or what we desire, and the avoidance of things that we think deprive us or burden us or make us uncomfortable. But as we pursue this, as we chase more and more things to make us comfortable, as we run away from and try to avoid more and more things that make us uncomfortable, that world, our world, has a tendency to become smaller and smaller. The things that we need to satisfy us become more and more significant, more and more out of our reach, more and more important for us to obtain. The things that we find disturbing or upsetting or unpleasant can become more and more minuscule, but more and more upsetting. So our practice in Zen is to not hide, is to not chase, is to not run away. This practice of just sitting with. From the moment that we walk in the door, the quiet, the still, the straight line, the hands like this, the body like this, everything in us, the comfort seeking, the discomfort avoiding, rebels. This is stupid. Why do I have to sit still? Why do I have to hold my hands like this? Why can't I move if I get an itch? And we get angrier and more upset. All we're asking is that you just sit still for 15 minutes of your life and watch what happens. One of the koans that we take up early in Zen practice is a story about a person who's hanging from a tree. The tree is on the edge of a great precipice, and the person is hanging from the top branch by their teeth. And their arms can't reach any branches, and their feet can't get a hold on the trunk, and they're just dangling there in space. Suddenly, another person arrives at the bottom of the tree. Looking out to this person dangling, asks a question. The traditional question is, why did Bodhidharma come from the West? And I could give a long discourse on what that means, but you don't need it. The question can be any question that we ask deeply. You have your own questions. What is it that I'm supposed to do? Why are we here? What's life all about? What is the truth? Who am I? All of these questions, whatever your question is the appropriate question for this person at the base of the tree to be asking. And the story continues that this person dangling in the tree, if they answer, they will lose their life. But if they don't answer, they will have failed the questioner. Now, of course, when we practice koans, it's very important to realize that these aren't about some old Chinese people 800 or 1,000 years ago. These aren't abstract or external questions about philosophical subjects. These questions, these cases, these koans, are directly about our own hearts as human beings. And so when we investigate a koan, we must turn it around from all directions and recognize that we ourselves are each aspect of this koan, of this case. How is it that we are like this person in the tree, bound by our teeth to this growth, this structure, this living thing? How is it that we are like the tree that's grown over a huge precipice? How is it that we are like the person at the base of the tree who is asking a question of the person in the impossible situation? Each of us finds ourselves in this position at least once, usually multiple times in our lives. Fixated on just sustaining, just living, just hanging on. And there's a still, quiet voice that wells up from our roots that says, why? Why are you doing that? What's this all about? Is this the direction we should be going in? Now the story, the case, has a commentary. And part of the commentary for this case is that sometimes dying to the old life gives rise to a new one. And part of the case, my favorite part, is a verse by an old Zen teacher named Wumen. And part of his verse says that this case stops up your mouth and the demon eyeballs squirt forth from the pores of your skin. Zen practice presses us. You can't respond in Zen with your flapping mouth or with your clever intellect. You can only respond from the depths of your heart. Any other answer will be refused. For the most part, we hide our hearts. We hide our capacity. We hide our potential. Constantly trying to make it comfortable. Constantly trying to keep it safe. Constantly trying to keep it protected, separate. And in doing so, we live like ghosts, half people. This is why in our practice there are these constant challenges. Kan! This is a word means barrier. things that we have to throw ourselves at wholeheartedly in order to even get over it. Or you might as well just go home, put your feet up in front of the television, and just be clever, chasing after your woolly, sleepy cozy. At Zenwest, we have a residential monastic training program. And this evening, I'd like us all to welcome Blair, who's here just starting a month of monastic training. So tonight is the first night of his initiation period, I guess you could call it. And our monastic training begins with a pilgrimage of 36 kilometers. So Blair started this morning in Victoria on the Galloping Goose Trail. And by about 4 o'clock, he'd made it to the temple, at which point he was asked to pitch a tent, have a shower, get in a car, and come and sit. Tomorrow morning, wake up is at 4:30 a.m., and we begin a day of practice together. Engaging in this kind of deeply challenging practice allows that heart, that capacity to blossom and burst forth. Each of us, as we explore this story that I've told, please recognize that you can't do this with your head. You can't do this from outside. You have to apply your heart. You have to allow the body and the cleverness of your mind to drop away and respond to that question, why? Why? From the very depths of your heart. This isn't so easy to do from our safe places. In the Zen tradition, somebody who becomes a monk is called a home leaver. But we're not talking just about the physical home, but this habit that we have of seeking internal safety, protectiveness, security. To engage in the path of Zen practice is to let go of this and to be alive in the richest sense. Unsheltered, unprotected, dynamic, and vibrant. So as we face challenges in practice, whether that's just physical discomfort as the abbot goes on in his talk, whether it's struggling with aspects of the form that we don't particularly like, or whether that's facing challenges in our everyday life, rather than looking at them as problems, troubles, difficulties, face them and recognize them as opportunities to step forward into your life, opportunities to dig deep and manifest from your heart, opportunities to come alive, truly alive.
Thanks for listening to the Living Zen-podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.